My name is Chris Buscher, and on this episode of Unsafe Honesty, we're going to talk about 10 things I hate about Brazil. In 2009, I had the unique opportunity to first come into Brazil. From 2009 until about 2013, I would spend maybe 2 months in Brazil, 2 months outside of Brazil, and I would come back and forth. In fact, I entered and left the country many different times for Christian mission trips and various reasons, spending a lot of time in Brazil. Then in April of 2013, I officially immigrated to Brazil, got my permanent residency, married my wife, had my son, Noah Thomas, who is a Brazilian citizen and an American citizen. And here in a few more days, my beautiful daughter, hopefully she's beautiful, she will be born, and she will also be an American citizen and a Brazilian citizen. I have been to over 17 states here in Brazil out of the 27 that they have. I've spent so much time in many different areas, met so many different people. I've been able to truly experience the Brazilian culture, the different states, and I think I have a pretty good idea of the country itself. I've studied a lot of its history, studied a lot of its problems and its good things, and overall, my experience has been really good here in Brazil. Yeah, of course there's been some negative things here, but I wanted to talk about 10 things that I really hate about Brazil, and 10 things that I really love about Brazil. The hopes of this video is to help you understand more about the country, and if you plan on coming here as a missionary or a businessman or anything in between, maybe this video will help give you some ideas before you pull the trigger and make the move to come down here. Number 1, corruption. Brazil is very famous for political corruption. Now, I know every country has its own corruption, and some countries do a better job of hiding it than others. Here in Brazil, they kind of harbor a love affair with corruption. Everyone knows it happens, they do it publicly, and they just kind of accept it. In fact, when it comes to election time, they vote for the lesser of the two evils. Now, I know that you're thinking that that's not unique to Brazil, but even though it might not be unique to Brazil, it sure is annoying. Number 2, bad laws. I personally hate the laws of Brazil. It is so bureaucratical and absolutely ridiculous. It's almost impossible to accomplish anything that you want to accomplish. Since I immigrated here legally, not illegally, I had to go through so many different government hoops and government buildings and so many different things, and I really got to see all the red tape in the situation. Now, if you research this topic anywhere, they're going to tell you the same exact thing. Brazil is extremely bureaucratical. If you want to do anything at all, it doesn't matter if it's something simple like registering for something, registering a contract, trying to do anything. If it takes you an hour to do it in the States, it's going to take you a minimum of 3 days here in Brazil. And that's going to include going to different government buildings, listening to the government employees lie to you, sending you to another person just because they don't even know the answer themselves. It's a big nightmare. Another part about these bad laws is the fact that Brazil has new laws coming up every single day. In fact, in Brazil alone, there is over 1,240 different law schools training people to be lawyers. In Brazil, there's only about 207.7 million people, but over 800,000 of those people are lawyers. Do you know what that means? That means that there are more lawyers per capita in Brazil than in the United States of America. It is a complete mess. Not only that, but here in Brazil, there's a thing about labor laws. Labor laws are a complete joke, and they're horrible for companies. Let me quickly explain some of these labor laws to you that I absolutely hate, because they create people to become lazy. They encourage laziness. They encourage people not to work hard, because these laws were originally created for good purposes to protect people, but as we all know about people use and abuse the system. So what happens here is when a person gets fired, a company is required by law to pay a minimum of 6 months to that person of their salary, no matter what the reason really is. They can lie, do whatever. In fact, it's a very common practice for these people to ask their managers or their employer to fire them so that they can get this. And they have no shame about it, and they laugh about it. They think it's a common thing. It's a horrible, horrible thing that doesn't allow companies to grow and progress. The laws in Brazil are created to protect the criminals. They're created to encourage people to be lazy. It's just a ridiculous thing, the laws in Brazil. Hate the laws in Brazil. Can't say enough about it. Number 3, can't trust public departments. I know I've already mentioned this before, but this one is so important that I feel that it needs its own category. You just can't trust public departments. It doesn't matter what public department it is, they're not trustworthy. No matter if they tell you that you paid a fine or paid something, you can't trust it. You need to get a receipt, you need to have it backed up, you need to have witnesses, you need to do everything possible. Because there has been many times that I have paid a different fee, a different fine, different thing for the company or for me personally, and 2 or 3 months later, I'll get a message in the mail saying I didn't pay it. And then I'll have to go take my receipts, go back through the bureaucratical hoops and prove to these people that I actually did pay it. And they don't pay me for my time that I had to waste to prove to them that I already did this. And it's not a rare occasion that this happens. It is a daily thing here. You just can't trust public officials. You can't trust public buildings. You can't trust anything in this mess. Number 4, you can't trust police. Now, I really hate to say this because I'm a big supporter of police officers. I love the boys in blue. They're great people. I love what they do. They protect and they guide us. However, here in Brazil, no way. Not at all. Absolutely not. I'm not a criminal, but I've had a lot of bad encounters with police officers here. Don't have time to tell you all of them. But, you know, even a normal citizen, the police officers in Brazil are very different than the police officers in the United States. Most of them, I really do hate to say it, but most of them are uneducated people. They're the bottom of the totem pole here, and they love to take advantage of their power and authority. Most of you don't even know if they're a criminal or if they're a good guy. There are some really nice police officers here. I have had some encounters with really nice ones. There's other ones that they try to look tough, they try to act tough. There's been several times that I've been pulled over. Here in Brazil, it's very common to have stop and checkpoints, and they pull you over. They take you out of the car. They point automatic or semi-automatic weapons at your head, and they start searching through your vehicle. They start demanding questions. They're very rude about it. And I imagine it's for good reasons because there's a lot of drug traffickers. There's a lot of criminals. I understand that, okay? But that doesn't mean I enjoy it. It doesn't mean that I enjoy being part of this situation, but I do understand it. Some of these police officers, they do use their influence to walk into pizzerias or bread stores to get free food. Some of them, when they're going through your stuff, they'll steal things from you. They'll take bribes. Some of them are just really, really horrible. If you have an encounter with a police officer in Brazil, here's my suggestion for you. Shut your mouth. Don't do anything. Listen to everything they tell you. Don't resist. It doesn't matter if you feel like your rights are being violated. When they got that gun pointed to your head, don't fight it. Let them do their thing. If they want to take money from you, let them take their money. Let them do your thing, because they will not hesitate to kill you. They are very famous for killing their criminals right out in the street. If you look anything on their history, some of the police officers are very violent. You'll see as you drive down the road, they'll be kicking people, they'll be ripping people's clothes off. Some of them are very, very violent people in the street, and I imagine it's because some of the criminals here, they do fight back to the police officers. So maybe their violence is justified. I don't know. I'm not their judge. What I do know is I don't like to be involved in it, and that is another thing that I don't like about Brazil. Number 5 on the list, there's a very small middle class. Now, some of these things that I've mentioned already in this video are problems directly as a result from the government, but this one, you can't blame the government. This one is 100% the fault of the people. That's right. There is a very small middle class in this country. Most people, they live on peanuts, and then there are some that are very, 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 very wealthy. And then there's a lot of people that think they're wealthy, but they're really not wealthy. They're just swimming in debt. Similar to, Americans and other people. That's pretty common. However, in Brazil, the small middle class, that's a direct result of people. I'll talk about that a little bit further in other videos, but let me explain why. Most people, they love to sit and they love to complain about all the problems that the government has, all the problems that their economy has. They just love to sit and complain instead of fight and actually do something about it. Let me give you an example. When I came to Brazil in 2013, I had 2 suitcases with old clothes that I got at a thrift store, and I had maybe $100 in my pocket. I fought, I worked hard, I sacrificed, I made a lot of mistakes, then made a lot of different successful moves. I did everything I could to not live like everybody else. Within about 3 years, I started making 10 times more than the average Brazilian and twice as much as I pay my lawyers. I started making a very good salary, started building a very nice company, and before you go and say that, oh, he's an American, blah, 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 it's easier for him, or that I hoard all of my money because I don't, my company employs Brazilians, and our Brazilians that we employ are people who think differently than other people, and they're willing to sacrifice. In their very first month, they make more money than they ever did in their lives for any salary. We treat our employees very well, and we pay them very well, based solely upon their hard work, ethics, and we're training one person at a time how to be different and how to change their country from within. We're very proud of our company, very proud of Uncle Sam's. Number 6 on the list, people don't fight for what they want in this life. I know I've talked about this in a couple of the other ones, and I'll probably talk about it again, but this is very important. Here in Brazil, people would rather have peace rather than sacrifice. People, they want the benefits that the United States has to offer, but they don't want to make the sacrifices that all the generations before my generation made so that my generation could have it. It's a real sad thing. When they talk about all their corruption and all the problems that their government has, they talk and they complain and they complain and they complain, but nobody's willing to do anything about it. Very few people. They would rather sit and complain. Most people would rather give up every single freedom that they have for a moment of peace. They love peace. They don't like conflict. Most Brazilian people, they hate conflict. They're afraid of conflict. They're easily made submissive and tamed. It's an unfortunate thing. Most people in this country do not like conflict. They don't want to sacrifice for things. What they love to do, they love to get themselves in trouble. Let me explain why. Here in Brazil, very different than in the States, we do have credit cards just like in the States. However, one unique thing is very different. There's a thing called breaking it up in payments without any interest. Let me explain. When I go into a grocery store or a supermarket or anything in the United States, I see the price, I can put it on my debit card or my credit card or pay cash. That's it. That's how it is. Here in Brazil, no. You don't really even see the payment price, or the normal price. You see the payment price. 10 payments of 99 reais, blah, blah, blah. And that's how they advertise it, because people on their credit cards can break things up into payments without having to make any interest. The problem with that is that people will go in there and they will look and say, oh, 10 payments at 99 reais? I got 99 reais. Oh my gosh, I think I could do this. And they start buying all these things, putting themselves in all types of debt, and they don't realize how much the thing actually costs. And about 2 or 3 payments down the road, they want to get out of it and they can't get out of it. People here that are making absolutely nothing for a salary will spend everything they have, probably 30% of all the money that they make for an entire year. They'll spend it to go to a city that's not even that beautiful on their vacation, just so they can post pictures about it and tell people that they traveled. I know that's not very unique compared to Brazil, but it is rather annoying, and it's sad that people put themselves in this situation. I haven't gone on a vacation in 3 years. Just because I save and sacrifice for what I want, and then I pay cash for it if I can, and if not, I say no and I can't do it. People here, they will sell their soul, sell their whole future for a cell phone that costs more than they make in an entire year. It's a sad thing, but it's their problem. Number 7, education is very weak. Here in Brazil, if you look at any of the public school systems, I'm not talking about private schools, well, some of them, but mostly the public schools, education here is completely weak. It's more of a babysitting area. It doesn't matter if it's for youth or adults, because if you go in there, you look, people are chaotic and disorganized, and it's just not the same quality of standards that you would come to expect in the United States or in Europe or any other country, really. When people leave their school system and they go off to university or whatever, most have a very big problem with basic math, basic reading, basic writing, all of the basics. educational system is broken here. Now, let me say this very clearly for those of you who are thinking that I'm blaming the government. I'm not. Initially, yes. Yeah, sure, we can blame the government. But when a person reaches a certain age where they can start using the internet, the problem is no longer the government's problem, it's their problem individually. Education in 2018 is free. It's all over the world. It's on the internet. If you want to be educated, you can educate yourself. The problem here in Brazil, and many other countries I'm sure, people prefer to be entertained rather than educated. You ask any Brazilian, they can tell you about Pelé, they can tell you about all the other soccer players, different musicians and different things like that. You start asking them historical facts or different information or anything what an asset is or an expense, they got no idea. Education is a choice, and unfortunately, many people here, they choose to remain uneducated. Number 8 on my list, they're not patriotic. Now, that might sound strange for some of you watching this video, but for me, growing up as an American citizen, I remember saying the Pledge of Allegiance every day before school, waving the flags, being very, very proud of being an American. Every 4th of July, getting together with the family, learning our history, being proud of our history, just really, really loving America. In fact, when some patriotic songs are played on my computer, it doesn't matter if it's 4th of July or not, sometimes it brings tears to my eyes. I really do love the United States of America. I love my country, 100% patriotic, and I'm going to train my kids to be the same way. However, here in Brazil, they think that's kind of strange. Some of them really like that idea of it, but they don't do it for their own country. Some people, they really admire how patriotic Americans are, but for the great majority of Brazilians, they do nothing but talk bad about their country. I don't know if they hate their country or if they're just really ashamed of their country. I have met very, very few people, maybe 1 or 2 in all the years I've been here, that actually say they love their country. Most people on a daily basis say, I hate Brazil. I just sit there and I think, oh my gosh, are you serious? Most people, they just talk bad about their country. And if you mention anything about their country, they hold their head in shame and they say, Brazil. I think the only time that Brazilian citizens are really proud of their country is when soccer is being played, because they know they're good at it, they know the world knows they're good at it. I personally don't like soccer, not one bit, but I am told that they're very good at it, and I've seen things that they are very good at it. So they're very proud to be Brazilians when it comes time to soccer, but every other time, no patriotism at all in their blood. Number 9, traffic and public transportation. I got no idea what to say on this, so I'm just going to go out and say it, and if I offend you, I'm really, truly sorry about it. First of all, public transportation. The first 2 years that I was in Brazil, that's all that I had. I didn't have a car or anything like that, public transportation. It's really nice that you can get from one side of the city to another in a remotely fast time. In fact, sometimes it's faster than using your own car. However, oh, Lord help me, because during the rush times, they pack you like a sardine. They push and they shove. They got no respect for anyone at all. They'll push an old lady down and trample her to death if they get the opportunity. Everyone is like that. I absolutely hate going on the metro. Not only that, but people are always trying to sell you garbage. They're trying to sell you disgusting gum at an overprice, and then they get angry with you when you say, no, I don't want it, thank you anyway. But, you know, it is what it is. It's an overcrowded city, and it's the only way that most people can go. Second part about this, driving your own car, the traffic. Like I said, it's an overcrowded city. Traffic is horrible. That's not the problem that I really, really hate about. The problem is most people driving have no idea how to drive. They turn when it's completely wrong. They'll cross traffic to turn, and they'll almost cause accidents. They love to, if you're going way too slow, it doesn't matter if you go on the speed limit or not. They will get right up on the back of your car, start honking, flashing their lights, trying to intimidate you to get you off the road, try to run you off the road. They're crazy, disrespectful drivers. And worse yet is the semi-trucks and the motoboys. They're always causing accidents, always being completely disrespectful. The motoboys are the motorcycles driving in between the lanes, And, on a daily basis, these people die. They die in car accidents, they cause accidents. And when these guys die in the street, and you literally see them in the street putting blankets over them, I see once a month maybe almost, without even any type of exaggeration. A motorcycle had an accident and they died, and people get all surprised that somebody died driving a motorcycle in this city. I hate to say it, I no longer am surprised by their death anymore. I feel sorry for their family. I really, truly do, because that man or that woman is leaving behind a family that didn't deserve this accident to happen. But for that individual, they were driving recklessly, crazy, stupid. I've had some of these guys kick my car because I wouldn't get out of the way for them. Literally, driving on a motorcycle, they'll lift their leg up, try to kick down and break in my window while I'm driving down the highway. Got no respect for motorcycle drivers anymore in this country. Sorry, hate to tell you that, but I don't. I'll be nice to you on the road. I won't try and get in any fights with you. But in my mind, do I have respect for you? Absolutely not. And number 10, the country is without a certain future. There's a common joke that goes on the internet and in many different circles of influence that talks about Brazil, and they say this: the country is the country of the future, and it always will be. What that means is that Brazil has so many great, valuable resources. It's such a beautiful country. There are so many wonderful things I can't wait to tell you about Brazil. But unfortunately, because of the actions of the people, not necessarily the actions of the government, the actions of the people, they will never truly reach their full potential. When I think about the future of Brazil, I see two very big things happening. Number one, the country is in the state of a change, a very big change. And for those people that are willing to learn, willing to educate themselves, willing to change, willing to grab the future and run with it, they're going to have an excellent time here. There is prosperity in Brazil. I've been able to experience it. I've been able to help many other people experience it. I can't wait to experience more of it for my company and many other people working for my company. But honestly, when I think about the great majority of people in this country, they're going to be crushed. They're going to be crushed because they're not willing to take it. They're not willing to educate themselves. They don't think about tomorrow. They're only thinking about today. There's a new change coming in this country, and those that are ready for it are going to take it, and everyone else is going to fall behind. Do I ever think Brazil will be a leader in the free world? No. Do I think Brazil can be a prosperous country? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't wait to tell you in the next part of this video about all the things I love about Brazil. But number 10, the thing I hate about Brazil is that there is no certain future for its people.